Yo, what is up, everybody? It's DFS Dudes back for another edition of Deep Dive. Today is August the 28th. It's a Wednesday. Nice slate of games. We've got 11 of them to get into. But before we do, let me just break down once again what we've got going on the site. One membership, all sports, football, MMA, basketball, hockey, baseball, golf, and NASCAR. Access to all of our premium DFS tools, including odds, lineups. We update our lineups in real time, so you know when the lineups have been confirmed for all sports. We've got lineups for NFL, MLB, the whole 9 yards. Odds, the over and unders, everything Vegas related. Slate breakdowns, that includes the Deep Dive podcast, the On Deck video for baseball. We do our first look pieces. We've got like I said, Deep Dive podcast. We've got all of our premium articles. MMA, PGA, core plays for all those sports, all access to everything, one membership, our optimal lineups, our core picks, daily core plays, full access to the optimizer, one price, $29.99 a month for a VIP membership, or use promo code NFL 2019 running an NFL kickoff special, get the entire year half off. So it's $175, gets you access to everything on the site for the entire year. Not a better deal out there. Premium tools, slate breakdown, deep dive podcast, premium articles, all sport access, ownership projections from the best of the business UF collective, our optimal cash lineups each and every day for the NFL, for NBA, for MLB. We don't do optimal for golf. We don't do it optimal for NASCAR, but Tyler, who does our NASCAR breakdown with the setup and victory lane, breaks them the each race down 6 ways from Sunday. So we're about to kick off NFL. We're in the thick of MLB. The PGA Tour season will kick back off in November. The NBA season will kick off in October. Hockey will kick off in October. We'll be running all sports. Sports fan heaven, daily fantasy player heaven. Don't miss out on this exclusive membership. Like I said, right now, take advantage of the savings. NFL kickoff special. Use promo code NFL 2019, and you get a full year for half price. All right, let's get into today's slate. Like I said, there's 11 games on this slate. There are some top pitching options on this slate to get into. We do have Coors Field on this slate as well. Look, yesterday, let's just recap. I told you guys the way I thought you should build would be to go contrarian with the build and look for some type of value in the pitching spot and load up with bats. Boston went off like I thought they would. Pittsburgh ends up putting up 5 runs. They were a good value stack to go with. I just thought there was some really good spots and kind of a really clear way to be contrarian yesterday and go against the field and beat ownership. And we were right. We were right on. Looking at today's slate, look, Chris Davis at 2,500 to me is still a really, really, really good cash game play. You got Scherzer at 11.4 on FanDuel, and you've got a guy that we know has double dong upside. Possibly starting to get hot, starting to heat up a little bit, starting to figure things out at the plate. In a really good spot at 2,500. So, you could also look at a guy like Brock Holt at 2,800. Really solid game last night against the Rockies. Big fantasy spot he puts up. 25 fantasy points. Goes 3 for 4 with a couple RBIs. Scores a run. Walks. 2,800 at Coors Field. If he's in the lineup today, it's a really good price. Jackie Bradley's at 3,000. Jackie Bradley with a big night last night. Huge night. Hits a home run. 24 fantasy points at 3,000. Really good prices at Coors Field. And like I said, there's some pitching options tonight. Maeda in San Diego feels really iffy to me, man. I feel like I felt about Corbin last night. Corbin ends up losing. He had a solid game. I believe he pitched 7 innings, struck out 10, got a quality start, misses out on the win, gives up 2 earned runs. But I just thought last night, man, you got Tanaka and you got Samardzija all the way down here. Nobody's looking at these guys. Tanaka puts up 55 last night. So Tonight is the only difference between the slate last night and tonight is there's 4 less games. Baltimore's at Washington, Atlanta's at Toronto, Cleveland's at Detroit, Cincinnati's at Miami, the Cubs are at the Mets, the Twins are at the White Sox, Tampa Bay's at Houston. Boy, did they just get all over Charlie Morton yesterday. Oakland's at Kansas City, Boston and Coors Field at Colorado, the Dodgers still in San Diego, and Texas still at the Angels. Let's look at the pitching matchups. Scherzer against Wojciechowski. Washington's going to be highly owned today, and they should, against Wojciechowski. Foltynewicz goes for Atlanta against Jacob Waguespack, and God, I just don't think Folty's a good pitcher. It's hard. It's really hard for me. I get it. He's 7,700. He's put some starts up there. You look at kind of his last 4 since being called back up. He gets called up. He pitches against Minnesota. Goes 5 1/3, 34 fantasy points. He goes 6 against Miami, 33 fantasy points. He only goes 4 2/3 against the Dodgers for 2 earned runs, 23 fantasy points. And his last start against the Mets, 7 innings, 7 strikeouts, 1 earned run. He gets a quality start. Minnesota, the Dodgers, and the Mets, all in the thick of the playoffs, obviously. And those are 3 really good starts. Only got 1 quality start out of those 4 starts since returning from AAA. But he's had at least 30 fantasy points in 3 of those 4 starts. I just don't trust this guy. Since coming back in those 4 starts, he's given up 10 earned runs over 4 starts. I don't trust him. I don't trust this guy. He's in a similar spot that Tanaka and Samardzija were in last night. I just don't trust Foltynewicz. Just don't trust him. Cleveland's at Detroit. Savali will pitch for Cleveland. Now he's going to be making his 6th start. Of the 5 starts he's made, 4 quality starts. He's 1 3 with a 1.82 ERA. His first 4 starts, he went 6 innings in each of them, giving up a combined 4 earned runs over those 4 starts. His last start, he goes 5 2/3 against the Mets, 3 strikeouts, 2 earned runs. I know there's people who are looking for some regression out of him, that he just came up 6 innings, 6 innings, 6 innings, 6 innings. No earned run, 1 earned run, 1 earned run. People looking for some regression. You could look at the starts against Detroit, against Texas, right, and think, okay, those are 2 really bad teams. But look, the Yankees, 2 earned runs over 6, struck out 4. It's getting guys out. The price tag of 8.2, I don't like it. I'm not in love with it. But, this guy in 5 starts, he's got 25 strikeouts. And that's taken into consideration. He's only got 7 strikeouts in his last 2 starts. He gets Detroit. He gets Detroit. And not only has he faced Detroit already once, he kind of dominated them. Give up 2 hits over 6 innings, got a win and a quality start, 6 strikeouts, 46 fantasy points, no earned runs. I really like this guy at 8.2. I would much rather use him than I would Foltynewicz. Detroit will throw Zimmerman. No, thank you. DeScalfini against Alcantara. DeScalfini is interesting at 7.6. He really doesn't pitch well on the road. He's gotten 30 and 31 fantasy points in his last 2 starts, given up only 2 earned runs and pitched 11 innings in his last 2 starts. Only 8 strikeouts, not a ton of upside, but he's a good tournament play. Not to be owned at like 30% of your lineups, but 10%, he's a good tournament play with Coors Field on the slate. I can really see DeScalfini trying to go out there and give you a quality start today. He's got some strikeout upside. He can get through 5 innings. If everything goes right, he gets through 6, maybe strikes out 4 or 5, and gets you a 4 to 5x return on his price tag. Don't load him up in 100% or 60% or 40% of your lineups. But if you want to put him in 10%, I don't mind DeScalfini. The Cubs at the Mets, Syndergaard against Hendricks. Boy, Syndergaard's scary here. It's a scary spot. You look at him, 25 starts this year, 15 quality starts. He's 9-6. He's pitched 106 innings, and he's got 156 strikeouts. He's been not really good, but he's been good since about July 13th. And in that span, he's gotten over 50 fantasy points twice. Once against Miami and once against the White Sox. 52 and 59. He's gotten 40 fantasy points or more 3 times. 46 against the Giants, 40 against the Padres, 43 against Cleveland. And then he has 2 of these starts with upper 30s against Washington and against Pittsburgh, 34 and 37. The earned runs, 0-2, 2-1, 0-3, 1-2. He can get you a quality start. On the flip side of this, you got the Mets against Hendricks. So can they put up runs to qualify Syndergaard for the win and the quality start? Here's where Syndergaard looks really good at 9.5. Since July 6th, he's gone 7 innings in every start but 2. So he's eating innings up. He's not giving up, a ton of earned runs. The walks are down. Strikeouts are down a little bit, 3.5, 6.5 over his last 4 starts. The last big K game he had was July 30th against the White Sox where he had 11. It's just a scary spot. It's a very vulnerable spot at 9.5. I don't mind it in tournaments, not a cash game play. And I wouldn't go buck wild on Syndergaard here either. 10, 15% is what I'd put him in. Minnesota is at the White Sox. Jake Odorizzi against Rostet Wheeler. And, Odorizzi, he's 13-6 this year with 7 quality starts. You don't think of Jake Odorizzi and think, man, I can't wait to load up some Jake Odorizzi today. You don't think that. You don't wake up in the morning excited to play daily fantasy and say, I can't wait to get Jake Odorizzi. I just can't wait to give me some Jake Odorizzi. That's not what you do. But, look, 7 quality starts. His price is 8.5. He's overpriced. To pay 8.5 for a guy who's got 7 quality starts and 25 outings. He does have more strikeouts than innings pitched, so he's averaging about a strikeout an inning, but he's probably going to get you 5 innings here. And I'm not real big on Minnesota pitching. I think this is what's going to hurt them in the playoffs. I'm not real big on this spot. I don't mind. If this was a short slate, I definitely would recommend using Odorizzi. This is a 3 or 4 game slate. Odorizzi was on it. I would definitely recommend using him. Want to put him in 1 or 2, 5% of your lineups today? I'm not going to argue with you. It is against the White Sox. He can go out there and strike out 6 or 7, but I'm moving on. Garrett Cole against Ryan Yarbrough. Houston's just hot, man. Cole 15-5 and 26 outings, 21 quality starts. There is a way to get Coors Field exposure and have Garrett Cole in cash games today. But you're going to have to go to guys like Jackie Bradley Jr. and Brock Holt and Mitch Moreland and miss the big names on that Boston side. His last 2 outings, he's had 12 strikeouts against Detroit, 10 against Colorado, 11 against Oakland, 11 against the Angels, 13 against Texas, 10 against Seattle. This is the big horse of the day, is Garrett Cole. I think Garrett Cole is going to be low owned today. I don't think he'll be popular in cash. He's definitely safe for cash. But I don't think he'll be popular in cash games. I think Max Scherzer will be. Scherzer comes in at 11-4. And in his first outing since coming back from the disabled list, he went 4 innings. Gave up 4 hits, struck out 3, had 18 fantasy points, gave up an earned run. That was to Pittsburgh. The news on Scherzer and pitch count, etc., etc., etc. He threw 71 pitches on Thursday. Okay, that's the first start back. So he threw 71 pitches. The problem here is, and this is where I think, paying attention, can get you a little bit of an edge. I haven't seen anything that says, Scherzer's going to go and they're going to let him throw 90 pitches today. But he only threw 71 pitches through 4 innings in the first start back. And the quote after the start from Scherzer was, "I can't get hurt again." That's just the reality of this. That was the quote from him. The quote from Dave Martinez, the Nationals manager, after that game was he was a little gassed. Okay? Reading between the lines here, I don't see them letting Scherzer throw 90 pitches today. I don't. And if he's not going to throw 90 pitches, I'm not sure I want anything to do with him. I think, and here's where I'm going to explain myself when I say being informed and paying attention can help you out. Because when you look at the pricing today on this slate and you see Garrett Cole is on FanDuel $12,000. You see Syndergaard at 9.5 and sandwiched between him is Scherzer at 11.4. Cole is pitching against Tampa, Syndergaard against the Cubs, and Scherzer against the Orioles. All things equal, who do you want to use here? Scherzer. Give me Scherzer against Baltimore all day long. But I'm not paying 11.4 for a guy that I need strikeouts from to pay off that price tag, not knowing he's going to go and they're going to let him throw 90-plus pitches today, which I highly doubt they will if he was a quote-unquote a little gassed after his last start. And Scherzer saying, quote, "I just can't get hurt again." They're going to be conservative with the guy. 80 pitches, 85, I doubt it. I would think 80 pitches is kind of going to be where he's going to go today. He could probably strike out 5 or 6 on 80 pitches. But you need 10 out of this guy at 11.4. You need a win and a quality start. He could go 5 on 80 pitches, being really efficient, but he's not going to have the Ks. I think perception is going to be give me Scherzer or give me Syndergaard and not Garrett Cole. And Garrett Cole's probably the most consistent pitcher in baseball this year outside of like Clayton Kershaw. When you look at innings pitched per start, I mean, Kershaw, you look at him and it's like 7, 7, 6, 7, 7, 6. Every single start he went at least 6 innings. Cole, he looks the same. So, the big three, Cole, Scherzer, Syndergaard, I would rank them as just as they're priced on FanDuel, which is Cole 1. Actually, I go Cole 1, Syndergaard 2, Scherzer 3. I don't want anything to do with Scherzer today. I just don't see paying 11.4 and not knowing that he's going to be cleared to pitch 90-plus pitches if he needs to and go dominate a game. I mean, Walker Buehler last night dominated the Padres. He had thrown 87 pitches through 6 innings, 10 strikeouts. If it wasn't 8-0, he would have come out for the 7th. I don't see any situation where they need to pitch Max Scherzer more than 5 innings today, and I don't see how a strikeout pitcher after 5 innings isn't in the mid 70s. It's, you can go up there and blow fastball by a guy or drop a curveball in strike one. Throw 96 on the outside corner for strike 2. And then when you start trying to get swing and miss pitches, you can waste 3 or 4 pitches. Get the count back to 2-2, 3-2, and then strike the guy out. The point being, I don't see how he pays off on a pitch count. Boston at Colorado. Again, Eduardo Rodriguez against Peter Lambert. Boston should just absolutely... Lambert's a gas can. 2-4, 14 games this year. 3 quality starts. Hasn't had a good outing from a dominant standpoint. I mean, 25 fantasy points is kind of where he's lived. So there's not a ton of upside in him. He doesn't have strikeout stuff, would be my point. I think Boston gets all over him today. Just all over him. Rodriguez would be really interesting to use in tournaments at 7.1, diminished price tag, 27 starts this year. He's got 11 quality starts. He's 15-5 with a 3.92. I've talked about his ISO numbers all year long. This guy was such a reverse splits guy. At one point in time, he had an ISO over 400 against him by left-handed hitters. He's now under 200 against left-handed hitters. His last 2 starts, 7 1/3 and 7, 49 and 44 fantasy points. No earned runs in either of those. This is Coors Field. The problem with Coors Field is you're breaking stuff, and if you throw a cut fastball, it doesn't move as much. If you can adjust, you can get through. If you can't, you're going to throw flat stuff up there over the middle of the plate. It's an interesting tournament play. I would recommend using him in maybe 5%, 10% tops of my lineups. I think it's a very interesting play. He's a good pitcher at 7,000. And if I used him, it would be in a Boston stack where he was my pitcher. So, Rodriguez, 4 Boston players, and then 3 in a one-off. That's how I'd build that. The Dodgers still at the Padres. The Padres will send Trey Wingnetter. He will open. It's his debut, and he's opening. Bullpen game for the Padres. The Dodgers, one of my favorite stacks of the day. Anytime you got a team in a bullpen situation, I dig it. Last game of the night, Texas is at the Angels, and you've got 2 pitchers that a lot of people probably don't know much about. Patrick Sandoval for the Angels will bring his 6.75 ERA through 4 games to the hill. He's 0-1, 18 strikeouts in 17 1/3 innings pitched. The most that he's pitched is 4 2/3. I'm sorry, he pitched 5 in his first start. 5, 4 2/3, 4 1/3, 3 1/3. Anybody who's showing that they're regressing like that, 8 hits in his last outing, 4 earned runs against Texas. I think both teams are in play here. Emmanuel Clase will go to the mound for Texas tonight. He is a reliever. This is an opening spot. So the Angels get Texas's bullpen for 9 innings tonight. The Angels and Dodgers are in really good spots. I love Boston. I think Washington is in a good spot. Cleveland is in a good spot. And Minnesota is in a really good spot. Those are kind of the teams that I'm looking at. Tanner Roark and Jacob Junis go. There's some value here with the A's now. I'm going to say that again today. There's some value to be had with the A's again. You look at Matt Olson at 3,500. You look at Profar at 2,500. You look at Chapman, he's 3,700. Simeon at 4,000, coming off the monster game. The outfield situation for Oakland, Canna 3,400. Pender's 2,600. Chris Davis 2,500. Grossman's 2,400. So you look to see who's in the lineup. But Chris Davis, I think you've got to just keep, as long as he's going to produce points. And last night he produced 6. He had a base hit and he had a walk. Clearly starting to see the ball. You look back to August 21st, he had a home run against the Yankees. He had a couple of 0 for 4 days. And then goes 3 for 5 against Kansas City. Goes 1 for 3 against Kansas City. Had a walk in each of those games. I like to see that. And he had a hit in each of those games. One being a home run on Monday. 2,500. You roll that out there, man. Brian Goodwin, look for him if he's in the lineup today at 2,600. I like that. And Hunter Renfroe, I like him at 2,600 for the Padres against Maeda. If you want to use Maeda today, I'm okay with it. It scares the shit out of me. It scares me. The pitchers that I'm going to recommend you use today are Garrett Cole, Noah Syndergaard, Maeda, Odorizzi. You can sprinkle them in. I do like Savale. I'm terrified of Foltynewicz. I think Eduardo Rodriguez is really interesting if you're going to stack him with Boston. It's kind of pitching in a nutshell. If you want to get really ballsy, take Patrick Sandoval. I just don't recommend doing that. I think he's going to get lit up. Texas should be an overlooked under-owned stack today. Let's talk about the stacks that I'm on. Washington. Really like Washington. Kurt Suzuki's 2,300 if you're going to stack them with Colorado. Brian Dozier is 2,400. Asdrubal Cabrera is 2,800. They've got the outfield. Their outfield's a little bit more expensive. Victor Robles is hitting 8th today at 3,300. Eaton, 3,700, hitting a 2 spot. So the outfield's a little bit more expensive, but there's definitely some value, with Dozier and Kurt Suzuki in the lineup. There's some value there. I don't mind Atlanta here at all. I think Atlanta is in a pretty good spot. Wagyu Spack, look, I'm not trusting this crap. 5 1/3 against Seattle, 7 against the Dodgers. Dodgers knew nothing about him. He's an American League pitcher. I don't trust it. The sample size is big enough to see that the guy has been pretty much a 5-inning pitcher, and he's pretty much given up 3 or 4 earned runs in each outing. I like the Braves here. I probably put them as my 8th favorite team. Cleveland against Jordan Zimmerman, one of my top 4 teams. Minnesota against Ross Detweiler. He's absolutely terrible, and I've talked all year long about how much Minnesota rips everybody. Their ISOs are all through the roof. You have to like Houston as long as they're going to stay hot. I know it's Ryan Yarbrough. Ryan Yarbrough's been a pretty good pitcher this year. Ryan Yarbrough, though, had an opener in front of him for quite some time. He's starting this game as far as I've seen. I'm not going to expect Ryan Yarbrough to go up there and shut down Houston. I do like Oakland. They're good value there. Boston, my top team. The Dodgers, probably my 2nd favorite team. Anaheim, probably my 3rd favorite team. So Boston, the Dodgers, Anaheim, Oakland, Houston, Minnesota, Cleveland, Atlanta, and Washington. Those are the stacks I'm using. And we've talked about pitching. I'll be back tomorrow with another edition of Deep Dive. Until then, be cool, keep it cashing. Peace out.